Is audio microphone. Mic check 1, 2, 3. Okay. Test, test, test. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Chalk Talk. I am your host, Kim Davis, and thank you for being a part of a special show today. I am super excited about the guest that's going to be hopping on to join us momentarily. You know, you'd have to have been living under a rock if you don't know who this person is. So it's not only good for just for show content, but I'm excited whenever I get a chance to sit down and talk to him. I learned so much more about basketball, even though he tells people that he raised me. Welcome to Chalk Talk for the first time in a while, the Houston Rocket legend and Basketball Hall of Famer, Calvin Murphy. Thank you, my friend. Welcome. I appreciate you. I know that you're always busy and you don't do a lot of this, so I am grateful. I don't take it for granted. How are you today?
Kimberly, and you know doggone well I raised you, but we're going to leave that alone for right now. But I'm very well, thank you, sweetie.
So listen, you have you know more about basketball than anybody I know, right? Now, just from when you played it in those days, which I, of course, am too young to remember. But and you've been a part of basketball your entire life. I want to know before we start talking really about these Houston Rockets, what do you, when you see the game now, can you just talk about the evolution of the game and how it's changed, what you like, what you don't like about the game today?
Kim, that's interesting. I do not like the NBA style of basketball today because it's taken away a great deal of basketball. It's all about the show right now. When they took middle distance away from the NBA, they took away from a lot of the game that shows the true talent of the athlete. Now it's the three-point shot, which is the home run shot, or the dunk, the athleticism, opposed to watching coaches being able to put a offense and the defense together, and you see the continuity of what's happening. So when you look at the state of NBA basketball right now, it's basically to entertain corporate America opposed to entertain the true basketball person.
So do you think, Calvin, that, you know, we talk about how the game is cyclical, right? Sometimes it was more inside out. Sometimes the big man mattered more. Do you expect it to come back around, and you just think it's going to be about this moving forward?
No, it's got to come back around. Right now, you know, what people are trying to do is to reinvent the wheel. And of course, we are all capitalists and we live in a capitalistic state. So when it starts to affect the bottom line, which is the dollar bill, they got to bring it back to where it is in this, once again, in the state of people wanting to see the true talent of the individual, not just the athleticism of them. You know, when you look at the state of college basketball right now and the growth of their popularity, is because people understand the game more than what they see in the pro division.
They understand it more. Yeah, you're right. It's so different when we sit and watch it, right? It is I mean, it's about entertainment, right? But it is about what sells. So let's talk about the team that you have been involved with for your really entire career.
Right.
The last few years were kind of rough, right? On those of us watching and covering it. And I know it was rough on you guys having to call those games. What do you think about this current Rockets team, and especially the young players?
First of all, I love it. Udoka, I think, you know, I like Coach Udoka's demeanor. All about business. Ain't nothing personal. This is what it is, and this is how it's going to be. And what happened is it took a second, but everybody's buying into it. Because, of course, when you win, people buy into the situation. The players, oh, my goodness. You know, when people ask me, who's my favorite player, I can't give it to you. You know, the people that I tend to gravitate to more than anybody are the players that could have played during my era. Dylan the Villain, love him to death. Dylan the Villain is, you know, he doesn't care what you think about him. This is me. This is how I'm going to do it. He doesn't need the ball to be important to the team. He's not afraid to do the dirty work. Number one, of course, Alfie didn't go to a whole nother level. I don't even know who he is anymore. I mean, it's great to see how he has come to the next level quickly. And it's all about the system. Jalen Green, he just fell from the moon. He's the new Michael Jordan of the Rockets. He can't get any better right now than what he's doing. He's starting to understand the system. Offensively, he's reading the defenses better, getting better shots because of the style now. They're up tempo in the game, so he's able to use his speed and his athleticism. Then you start talking about the rookies. Oh my goodness, Thompson with his calm demeanor is one of those silent assassins. You don't expect to get the numbers you do from him night in and night out. He's just steady Eddie. And then you look at Jabari Smith. I mean, Jabari Smith has really, really grown just since the All-Star game. He knows his role a lot better. With those young legs, he's rebounding, he's running the floor. The thing that I like about him is he can play four positions. The only position that I take him out of is the point guard. Anything else he can do. And he's just going to get better. And of course, the guy that I love to see go up and down that floor is Whitmore. Oh my goodness. Wait till he gets healthy. And of course,
wait till he gets healthy.
Wait till he gets healthy. And of course, we're looking basically towards next year. Hopefully they could accidentally back their way into the play-in game. Hopefully. Because you got to remember now, Kim, in 81, we backed into the playoffs with a 40 and 42, and with momentum going in our direction, and Moses doing the inside, I'm doing the outside, we get to the World Championship. So when I look at the situation of where the Rockets are right now, the sky is the limit.
I think you said something that's really important. They could, back in, they could still get to the play-in game. I mean, they won 5 in a row. They play tonight. They play Chicago. They've looked really good. And they're doing it without Alpi. Now, let me ask you, do you think that, granted, this team is different since the All-Star break. They all came back with like this different sense of urgency, right? They really brought more even into the defense. But the spacing obviously is different without Alpi. What do you do when Alpi comes back? Will you still see the kind of play you're getting from a Jalen Green, or is that something that Udoka is going to have to figure out how to manage?
Well, you got to remember before I answer that question, this is Calvin Murphy speaking. I have no concept of what their direction is going to be. This is what I'm seeing from broadcast. What they've done before Alpi went down is run the offense through him. I can see when he comes back, more of the same, except that they're going to run more. They're going to come off the glass and they're going to run more. And then when they have to go into a half-court set, go back through Alfie. But he's not going to be the main ingredient offensively anymore. They're going to want to get everybody involved. And the way you do that is to rebound and run.
What do you like? What do you see about Fred VanVleet as a point guard? What he has been able to do and how he's bringing these young guys along? I didn't watch him as much because he was obviously in Toronto, but was the right move to me.
Oh my God, he's something special. Love him. During my stint in the NBA, I've played with a few point guards, but he reminds me a lot of Tommy Henderson. Tommy Henderson never got the accolades and that was due him, basically because he was a very, very smart point guard, and he knew how to get his teammates involved early. Tommy could shoot the ball, but never got the chance because he was playing with a Calvin Murphy and Moses Malone type of a situation. But he was very intelligent in the game. They're kind of built alike, little short, stocky, strong players that can put the ball on the floor, go to the basket, suck the defense in, and get the ball to the right people at the right time. Fred, the one thing he has is that when he reads the defense and the defense is not in front of him, he knows that means they're playing the passing lanes. So he'll shoot the ball, and he can shoot the ball. So now they got to get back in front of him. And when he does, he gets the ball to the right people at the right time. The other night, he had 17 assists. He could have easily had 25 assists if they had started shooting the ball well earlier in the game.
He said that in the locker room. We're like, hey, he said, man, I could have had more if they made those baskets. He said it jokingly, but he was right? They did miss some easy shots. Let me ask you about what you think about the league in general. Who do you think who comes out of the West and who comes out of the East, just from what you've seen? Who do you like?
Well, first of all, Kim, you know what bothers me is the Rockets are fighting for the play-in game, but the two teams in front of them are the Lakers and Golden State. And you know doggone well as I do, the league wants to live in the playoffs. I'm just saying. I'm not intimating anything. I'm just saying.
No, but you're absolutely right. Yeah.
But so when you're looking at the ratings, you want a Steph Curry out there, or you want LeBron James. So with that being said, the Rockets are not going to be given anything. They're going to have to go out there and take it. Now, right now, this is one of those times where, every 10 years, you get somebody new that comes into the league that they set their sights on to take the league to the next level. Well, it's a changing of the guards. Now you got Denver and you got OKC, which surprises the heck out of me. All right. And then you got the Sacramento. These teams are legit. They're legit. But I'm expected to see, to answer your question, to see Denver come out of the West. They got the big boy that, got two speeds, slow and extra slow. But you can't stop him. You can't stop him. He can shoot it. He can put it on the floor. He's wide. He's bulky. They run the offense through him. He's very intelligent. So that being said, then, of course, Murray is just shooting the lights out. So, I just expect to see Denver come through the West this year.
Oh, man. There's your friend. My sister Sylvia says, good morning, Kim and Calvin. Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, world. Sylvia wouldn't marry me, and it made me angry. But we're talking about Kim today, so I'll get back with your sister later. Just teasing.
How good is that Clippers team, and do they have a shot if Kawhi and Paul George are both healthy? I just gotta ask you. I know.
Kim, I'm laughing because if you look at them on paper, the answer is yes. Mm-hmm. But they still got an unproven superstar with them by the name of James Harden. Now, we've seen James when he was in a Rocket uniform for 8 years. And when it came time for the big one, he never delivered it. But if James Harden, with his talent now, don't get me wrong, with his talent, if he ever brought it to the table, along with Kawhi and George, and then don't forget who's coming off the bench now with Westbrook. Yes, they got you got a legitimate chance because offensively, you can't touch anybody. So, if James is going to play the point guard and he's penetrating and getting to the line 13, 14 times a game, it's going to be tough to beat them. But yes, they got a legitimate chance to win it. But I've always over the years thought that the Clippers have been snake bit. Every time they come close, something happens. Somebody goes down with an injury or the ball didn't bounce right in the big game. But once again, answering your question, they got a legitimate shot.
Let me ask you about a guy on a team that's not going anywhere this year, but man, the future's bright. And that's the rookie, Wemby. Every time I see him, it looks like because of his size, you don't expect that he's going to be able to do a lot. I mean, size in terms of bulk, not his height. How good can he be?
First of all, when people talk about he needs to do this, he needs to put on some weight. I don't want to hear that baloney. They told me I was too short to play in the NBA, if you remember correctly. All right. Now, they said that Jabari was too thin when he came into the league. Everybody and the people that are making the comments are people that never played the game, the so-called experts. This young man got a lot of talent, and he's being tutelage. He's under the tutelage of Pop. Popovich is going to bring him along. This boy's talented. He can put the ball on the floor. He can shoot it from the perimeter. He's a young Ralph Sampson. He's a young Ralph Sampson. So with that being said, the sky's the limit to him. He still got to learn the NBA game. And, Pop's bringing him along slowly. But, so often people want to see results right now. People don't understand the NBA game. They don't. It's totally different than college or AAU or anything else. So it takes time to get acclimated to the style of play that for the team you are. And you got to remember now, with his reputation coming to the league, he's not going to sneak up on anybody.
Right.
Teams are going to be ready to defend him. So he's got to learn the NBA game. But when he does, he's going to be something special. I'm telling you right now.
Are you surprised that how effective LeBron James is at this point in his career, and that he looks like, I mean, he's still going strong. I don't know how much he has left, but how he's been able to play at this level for so many years.
You know, that's interesting, Kim. You know, the world loves LeBron. I've really not been a big LeBron fan per se, like the way the world is. But what I am pleased with, watching the way he represents the athlete today. Number one, and I think a lot of these youngsters should take a lesson from the way he keeps himself up, the way he takes care of his body. That's one of the major keys. Yes, his game is still at the top level where he, you know, with the right combination around him could win something, you know. But I like the fact that he is a dedicated athlete. You know, he's always ready to play the game. You know, today's game, of course, has a lot to do with coaches sitting players out to rest them and things of this nature. And which gets on my nerves because you only play 2 hours a day. If you're tired, go home and go to bed. Stop hanging out in them clubs, and you won't be so tired. But, you know, been there, done that. So, you know, you telling Noah about the flood, okay? But to answer your question about LeBron, he's a freak of nature. Olajuwon was a freak of nature. Moses Malone was a freak of nature. LeBron James and Michael Jordan, they're all freaking natures. So when you look at LeBron James right now, I can see another 3 years in him if he wanted to go another 3 years, the way he takes care of himself. And plus, you know, he is still the face of the NBA. He's still the face of the NBA, and rightfully so. And I told you I wasn't really a big fan of his, but when you look at him being realistic, I like the things he does off the court also. You know, building schools for the underprivileged, being in the community, you know, a lot of things that he has done that he doesn't get credit for. There's a lot of times when he does things without the cameras being there with him. You know, that's what I used to love about Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley and players like him. Of course, one of my favorites that, of course, with the Rockets is Clyde the Glide Drexler. I can't begin to tell you the things they've done without getting publicity for it. You know, when you look at Clyde, for instance, I can't begin to tell you what he's done for me over the years without the world knowing it. Charles Barkley will cuss you out, you know, talk about you and your mama, but didn't give you what you want. You know, I love those players.
You know, I think another guy that I got a chance only to cover the 1 year he was here was Russell Westbrook.
Yes.
And Russell actually didn't even really want you talking about what he did. And then he started letting you in a little bit. And that's when you had the best conversations because he loved talking about whether it's kids or going back to do a documentary in Tulsa, or now he's building some homes, affordable living in LA. I mean, he really, you know, he embraced that. But he didn't really want you talking about it because he said that's not why he did it. But of course, that helps him be able to do it more. So I agree with you.
Yeah, you know, Kim, it's interesting when you talk about these athletes the way we're talking about them right now. It's very rarely written what they're doing because it's, you know, it's not exciting. What they want to hear is sensationalism about the player, opposed to his his humanitarianism, where he's out there knowing that he was blessed, not forgetting where he come from, and doing it from the goodness of his heart. See, that's a person that has Lord in his, you know, in his being, that knows, look, instead of buying another extra Lamborghini or a $15 million watch, I'm going to take it, I'm going to invest it in the community. And I'm not just talking about the Black community. I'm talking about the community at large. These people that do these things without the press following them cares about our society and our country.
You know, and we're almost out of time because I want to get you out on time so you'll come back. But when Dylan Brooks signed with the Rockets, I'm told the very first thing he said was, I want to be in the community. He started before the season even started of going to do work with boys and girls clubs and being in different neighborhoods. That's just who he is. So Dylan it's kind of tough to get to know, for people who are in media, but he's been nothing but professional and respectful. I think one of my favorite things that he does in the court is when he stares people down. That's funny as hell to me. The stare down. I don't know what that is, but I like his energy and the fact that was so important. He wanted to right away come in and make a mark in the Houston community.
It's interesting that when you look at Dylan, everybody has an opinion of Dylan. I love him because, he dealt, when I first met him, he dealt with me through my ego. The first thing, man, how could somebody that is as short as you could have been prolific as you were in this game? Are you kidding me? Do you know what I would have done to you? This conversation with me. And I said, Dylan, people like you made me a legend, so I don't want to hear that mess, whatever. So we got to like each other early. And I said to him, I said, I do the broadcast. He says, yeah, I heard you and you do a nice job and things of that nature. I said, do you have a problem with me labeling you Dylan the villain? He said, loves it. Love it. He said, I do what I do. You do what you do. You're good at what you do. I'm great at what I do. So together we can make this thing work. So we became instant friends because that's the Dylan that the people don't know. They see, he got the reputation of being a bad guy because he had the audacity to challenge LeBron.
Yeah. Yeah, he gets no slack on the calls. I think he's done a great job of trying to manage that, right? Because he gets he looked at the guy sideways and you thought he touched him. But my last thing before I let you go, I just want to talk about how much better can a player get as a shooter. I have this ongoing conversation with some of my colleagues, and I'm like, either you can shoot or you can't. Can somebody be a better shooter? And I'm going to mention a guy on this Rockets team that I absolutely love, and it's Thompson. Can you ever be a better shooter? Or if you can't shoot, you just can't shoot. You can maybe be a better free throw shooter. Tell me what's right.
Kim, that's interesting. I've been asked that question a billion times. And my take on it is, at this stage of the game, it's tough when you have various habits on how to shoot the ball. So it's going to be tough to be a much better shooter unless you were given the proper basics as a youngster. But you can become a better scorer. There's a difference between being a shooter and a scorer. There's a lot of players today that are not good shooters. They can get hot and get on a streak, but they're great scorers. They know how to get to that foul line. They know how to read the defense and get them some middle distance shots, some layups. Everything today is predicated on how well you shoot the three. That's not important. So can he become a better shooter? Yeah, somewhat, but he's never going to become a great shooter, but he can become a great scorer. Remember this, Kim, a lot of players in the game, when they go to practice, they don't practice on what they don't do well. They practice on what they do well. But if he goes into practice and practices what he doesn't do well, be it shooting, rebounding, defense, whatever, they can become better players. But once again, your question is, I don't care if he becomes a better shooter or not. I want to see him become a better scorer.
So last thing, one of your fans has chimed in, Tony. He said, how you doing, Kim and Calvin? I'm challenging you. I think he's talking. Oh, yeah, Calvin, I'm challenging you in a round of golf. You've been running from me. I just wanted to tell you, that's what he said.
First of all, I know Tony well, and Tony needs to stay off them drugs. Ain't nobody running from him. He's talking that mess. And every time I go to play him in golf, he got a bad toe, a bad booty. Something's wrong with him. I want to hear that.
Calvin Murphy, the legend, the Hall of Famer, my most importantly, my friend, thank you for taking some time this morning. I will see you at the game tonight. I appreciate you. You make us all a whole lot smarter.
Sister-in-law, anytime you need me, you know how to find me. Love you, baby.
All right, thank you. That's Calvin Murphy, everybody. The legend. Thank you, my friend. I can stop the applause now. That's Calvin Murphy. You can catch him tonight on the Houston Rockets broadcast. And you can catch me, of course, on Chalk Talk next week. I'll be at the game tonight. Follow me for updates. And thank you for being a part of Chalk Talk this week. Remember, if you are not registered to vote, get registered. If you are registered, make sure you vote. I never tell you who to vote for, but make sure that you do vote. And remember, do something kind for yourself and do something kind for somebody else. Make it a great week, everybody. Peace.